students, today's agenda is to return test. We'll be combining functions and you will be able to do 8.1. Today, students will be able to combine functions using the 4 basic operations. Here we have 3 different functions and you have to check which of the 3 functions we're going to be using. And so in here we have a combination of multiplication of 2 of the functions, but then we have to add them, okay? So whenever we say that we have 2 f of x, it means twice the function of f of x, which is twice this. So we're going to bring down the 2, and we open a parenthesis to put the function of x, which in this case is 6x plus 12. Then we're going to put plus 4, because it says that we also have 4 times the function of h of x. So 4 times all of the function, which is x minus 2. After we do that step, all we do is distributive property and combine like terms. So 2 times 6x is 12x. 2 times 12 is 24. And then we have positive 4 times x is positive 4x. Positive 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. We combine like terms. 12x plus 4x is 16x. And 24 and negative 8 is 16. So 16x plus 16 is the answer for the first one. For number 2, it's also an addition, but we have negative of one of the functions and 3 times the other function. So this negative, whenever you have negative of g of x in this case, we're just going to bring the negative and open a parenthesis. G of x is 3x minus 6. Bring down plus 3 because it says plus 3 times the function of h of x. So plus 3, open a parenthesis to replace h of x with x minus 2. From there we do distributive property. Some people get confused with this, so they decide to put a 1 with that negative, so negative 1. And so negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6, because negative times negative is positive. Then we do the same thing with the other one, and so positive 3 times x is positive 3x. Positive 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. We combine like terms, and negative 3x and positive 3x, well, they cancel because they're opposites. Positive 6 and negative 6, they cancel as well, so the answer is 0. For number 3, we have a combination of several things. We have the negative of a function, we have multiplication of a number with another function, but then that's also in a form of a division or fraction. And we're adding to another division of 2 other functions. So let's replace all of this. So we have negative g of x. Remember that when we have g of x, it just means open a parenthesis and replace that with whatever that value is. In this case, is 3x minus 6 over 3 times h of x. What is h of x? X minus 2. Then we bring down the plus, and then we have g of x is 3x minus 6. In here, we're not doing anything to the function. It's just g of x, so we just bring it as it is. And then h of x is x minus 2. So in here, you have to see what is doable so that you can see anything cancel. So let me bring this up. And you can do distributive property in here, but also if I multiply this part right here, 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So that means that this whole thing, by multiplying it, it's this 3x minus 6. And what do you notice? 3x minus 6, 3x minus 6. So anytime that you have something like two factors, and here we're multiplying negative 1, let's say, negative 1, times this factor 3x minus 6, and one of the factors is the same in the numerator and denominator, they can cancel because anything divided by itself is equals to 1. And 1 multiplied by negative 1, it just becomes negative 1. So we worked that part in there. Let's work on this part now. With this, I don't have anything to multiply or do distributive property, but we can actually factor this. So we're just rewriting this fraction right here in a simpler form or in a factor form. How can I do that? Well, all the terms on this right here can be divided by 3. And that becomes one of my factors. So I'm just rewriting this whole fraction. And I'm going to put 3 outside. And then I say 3x divided by 3, it's x. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. So I just copy these right here, x minus 2. Again, all I did was to rewrite this, the same fraction, but with factors. I just factored this expression into 3 times x minus 2. X minus 2 divided by x minus 2 is equals to 1, and 1 times 3 is 1. Remember that anything divided by itself equals 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. And we just bring down the plus in here. Now, sometimes it does not simplify to whole numbers. Sometimes you end up with maybe a whole number and expressions. So we don't know exactly what you will get. Let me know in the comments if you feel that I need to do an example on a separate video with ones that end up with expressions and not integers. So now that we have negative 1 and positive 3, we have now 2. So that will be the answer. That you will end up with the same answer, but some people will go ahead and do distributive property from here. And negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. Divided by 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Notice how they have the opposite signs. And so to be able to simplify, you would have to do an extra step. And so that's why I decided to just do distributive property in here. What does that mean? That you would have to get rid of this. And I'm not working on the second part, okay? So let me just rewrite it as, I would have to get, because it starts with a negative, I put a negative 1. And negative 3x divided by negative 1 is positive 3x. Positive 6 divided by negative 1 is negative 6. And you just bring this over. So now we have terms that can be canceled. Okay. Why am I saying this? Because I tend to see that a lot of people who have the distributive property, that's the first step or first thing they will do. And you can do that. However, you will have to do an extra step going back to the factored part. Okay. For number 4, it says that you're going to have g of x, which is 3x minus 6, and raise that to the second power. So I'm going to do it in two different ways. First, I'm going to do it in the long way. G of x is 3x minus 6, and we're going to square that. We have to be careful because some people get confused and they think, oh, 3x squared is 9x squared, and negative 6 squared is positive 36. But in reality, what it means is that you're going to multiply that function 3x minus 6 2 times. And so if you recall from previous lessons, so you have to do first for FOIL. So first is 3x times 3x is 9x squared. Outside, or I also call it double distributive property, the outside terms, which is 3x times negative 6, is negative 18x. Then you do inside. This is my double distributive property because you're now doing with the second term. Negative 6 times 3x is negative 18x. Notice how they are the same. And then last, that means the terms that are last in each parenthesis. And negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. Now we combine like terms. And when you have perfect squares, these two will always be the same. You have always, you will have two of them. So this, you just bring it down. Negative 18x and negative 18x is negative 36x. And just bring down the 36, the positive 36. So that will be my answer. Now, when we have a perfect square, this is the short way to do it. You square that. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. You square that, and negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. And then for the middle term, you always multiply the first term times the second term. And you're going to double that, meaning multiply times 2. So 3x times negative 6 is negative 18x. Times 2 is going to be negative 36x. So that's where this term comes from. And so that's where this rule of a squared plus 2ab plus b squared comes from. Because you're just doubling the first term multiplied by the second term. First term is a times the second term is b, and double that. That's for the middle term. For the first term, it's just the first term to the second power. For the last term is the second term, or b, to the second power. Okay, so this is just in case you remember that formula. If not, just whenever you see square, just go ahead and do these steps, and that's perfectly fine. For number 5, we have a multiplication of multiplications of two functions. Okay, so first we multiply the 2 times the first function, and then the 2 times the second function, and finally we multiply the results. Okay, so 2 multiplied by the function of h of x, which is x minus 2, and then times 2 times whatever is the result of the multiplication of that times f of x, 6x plus 12. So we do distributive property first. And we get 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And we're going to multiply that times 2 times 6x is 12x. And 2 times 12 is 24. Then we're going to do FOIL. First, I say this double distributive property because you get the first term and multiply by both terms in here. And then the double distributive property, the second one is the negative 4 times both terms in here. But it's the same as FOIL. First, outside, inside terms, and last terms in each parenthesis. So 2x times 12x is 24x squared. 2x times 24 is 48x. Then negative 4 times 12x is negative 48x. And negative 4 times 24 is negative, because negative times positive is negative. And 4 times 24 is 4 times 4 is 16, carry 1. 4 times 2 is 8, and 1. Finally, we combine like terms. And what do we notice? We have a positive 48x and a negative 48x, which cancel. And so we end up with 24x squared minus 96. So that will be my answer for this multiplication of multiplications. And you can barely see it. I apologize about that. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok with Math Maria 7 to see fun encounter with math. And to support our channel, if you can please give us a thumbs up, subscribe around here. This is the link to the next video of this unit. Here you will find the link to the entire unit. Now you can do 8.1 and have fun.